everything else versus Bitcoin essentially gets spent and dies.
I want to be able to have reactive security, and I think OpVault is today the most straightforward, easiest to use way to do that.
I will not be insulted by a clockmaker.
Overall, these kind of ways to make the network easier to both build on and interact with, I think is a really big deal.
If Bitcoin existed when we started Twitter, we would not have to go down the ad model path. I mean, it's simple as that.
Integrating Lightning into a social network is the killer app.
Hello, and welcome to the Bitcoin.review podcast, where we explore developments and projects with the people who actually make them happen. The show is supported by Pod 2.0, Sats Streaming, and CoinKite. If you're a new listener, I'm NVK. I run CoinKite, where we've been helping people secure their Bitcoins for over a decade. We make the cold card and fun products like the block clock. You can find more information about it on coinkite.com. Hello, and welcome back to the Bitcoin.review. Today, without a proper voice. I am coming out of a cold, and I can barely talk. But thankfully, I have three folks here who would love to talk a lot, hopefully. Shores, nice to have you back, sir.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Daniel Prince, first time, long time listener.
Yeah, thank you, brother. It's good to be here, and thank you for coming on my pod in the early days. It's I still remember that, and appreciate it. Looking forward to hopefully seeing you at some of the conferences this year in person.
Yeah, it was one of my favorite appearances. I still remember your daughter asking some hard questions. Hey, Nick, nice to have you.
Yeah, thanks for having us again. Enjoyed it last time, hoping for the same.
Yeah. All right, guys. Oh, God, this is going to be hard. MyCitadel version 1.3.0. All right, who wants to read the notes? I can't do this. I'm dying here. MyCitadel 1.3 ships with support for advanced miniscript accounts, account-based multi-sig with time locks and complex miniscript descriptors. What's MyCitadel? Does anyone know?
The note says it's a desktop Bitcoin Lightning and RGB wallet.
Okay. Good reading the notes, Shores. Zeus, a pod favorite here. Version 0.7.5. Smaller Android binaries, new camera with Samsung Galaxy support, new path view, handle display of in-flight payments, external link warning, NFC mode for Android, iOS clear saved. Oh God, there's a lot. Evan, you're a beast. It's a great wallet. I use it for with Alby before the show.
Yeah, I like it too. There's one gnarly little bug that they haven't figured out yet. That could be my fault. I can only see my outgoing transactions. I cannot see my incoming transactions. And my theory is because there's just too many of them, because I use the node for streaming. So there's like 12,000 incoming transactions. And my guess is there's something on the line it just gives up.
Mine show up. If I scroll, it kind of works. And then if I click on something, it crashes the app. Because, I use it for streaming as well, right? So there's a lot of transactions. So yeah,
the
hopefully...
other bug that I've noticed now I'm using the podcast for bug reporting. That's not really how it's supposed to work. But
I used it today. I used it today on-chain payment from my friend's house via my node to my mechanic. Worked like a dream. So
fine. I mean, that's also up to the Lightning node or whatever is that's actually doing the work, right? It shows a balance on the home screen, but it's not equal to the sum of all the inbound capacity. So basically, if I open the wallet, the $5 wrench guy is much more attracted to it than they should be if they actually look at what's in there. That's a problem.
Hey, Daniel, do you do Pod 2.0 on your show? Do you have? Do you allow people to stream sats?
Just via Fountain. That's as far as I've got. I've not got any geekier or techier than that. I let the boys at Fountain, Oscar and Nick, shout out. They've built an amazing thing. Or at Breeze, wherever people want to listen.
Yeah.
Yeah, that means anybody can stream to you. It's just that you're receiving it through Fountain, and then,
I've tried both Alby and Fountain to host the pod, and now I just split between the both of them, and it's kind of nice.
For me, it streams straight to my own node. The downside of that is that if I want to see the actual boost, I think that works on if people use the Fountain app because they take a small cut whenever
Yes.
people use their app, and that's why the messages arrives to them. But I think if somebody leaves a boost using another app, I can only see it if I do some weird incantation on the C Lightning node, which I don't do. So if people do send me a boost that way, they should tell me about it so I can actually look for it.
Yeah, you got to give the easiest way to share the information between all the apps that you want to is to give them a percent. If funny enough, they don't support less than 1%, so you can't do a basis point or whatever. So
This completely doesn't scale. In fact,
no, it doesn't. But it's fun.
I think there was a pull request on C Lightning to get a little bit more of these TLV records out, so that you can actually parse them yourself using whatever tooling you have. So eventually, I think it should be possible for something like Zeus to ask the C Lightning node, "Hey, give me all the boosts."
Well, it's still version 0.5 of Pod 2.0, right? So like, it's still early days.
The other Pod 2.0 thing, that would be nice if it actually supported Lightning addresses for streaming, because it's kind of hard for people who don't run their own node to get it working. I couldn't even get Aaron to do it. He's like, "You just keep all the sats. I don't want to bother setting up my own node." It's like, okay, I get all the sats.
The way I use it is all the streaming sats go to zapping on Nostr and to buy beer at the Bitcoin Park in Nashville. Like, I literally empty the wallet on those two things like every month.
Yeah, that's a good use case.
All right, Nunchuk, iOS 1.9.24, advanced coin control. That's nice. Updated transaction nodes to support long nodes with links. Color-coded coin tags, ability to lock and unlock coins, coin search, and filters. That's a lot of features.
I assume notes are something you write yourself, right? They're
Yes.
not messages, because otherwise links sound a little scary.
Yes. No, this is... it links so you enter ordinal territory here, the inscriptions having HTTP headers.
I just mean somebody sends you a payment to your Lightning address with some random phishing link in it. That could be a problem.
Yeah, no, it's this is pretty cool. I mean, Nunchuk is really becoming a bit of a quite a full wallet on a phone, and they have the desktop version too, right? And then the Android version 1.9.29, transaction search and filters, coin selection, coin collections, ability to export import coin data, BIP 3.2.9 support. So I'm looking forward for a BIP 3.2.9 support on iOS as well. That's a nice spec.
3.2.9 is multisig?
No, 3.2.9, it's that spec for labels so that you can export your labels and, for the people who do have to do accounting, like a company, it's kind of super important.
Yeah, I think I already said it on the last episode that I was on. If anybody does it for Bitcoin Core, let me know.
I have a small Paddy wallet on Nunchuk that's for like business, small little transactions. And I have to literally do screenshots and send to the accountant to add to the pile. It's not fun. So this would be nice. Funny enough, we've actually built a tool internally that hopefully we can make it public one day. Is this tool takes a Electrum history file, and then it builds the whole WAC, so the weighted average cost with every transaction in and out, based on the actual government's rate for USD, CAD, and everything else too. So it's kind of like a crazy program because the accountants just can't, because we have invoice, it's not like your standard DCA, it's thousands and thousands of transactions.
Yeah, it's an accounting nightmare if you have to use the fiat as the basis of your accounting and then also track of the assets you own and depreciation or depreciation.
Yep. Oh, and you have to WAC adjust the capital gains as well. So every time you have an out, you have to adjust the table for your WAC. So dude, accounting with multiple assets, Forex, it's an absolute nightmare. And now having to do this because we have spot pricing for every invoice as well. It became quite the thing. I hope somebody does this as a plugin for QuickBooks one day.
Yeah, there still aren't, I guess. I mean, I use some...
Nothing to this level.
Dutch thing for bookkeeping, so there's definitely no plugins there. But I think they originally supported Bitcoin as one of the currencies, but then they only supported 2 decimals.
Yep.
All Bitcoin currencies have 2 decimals. It's that's not going to work.
Yeah, no, the stuff is still pretty hopeless with accounting software. But I think there is a massive market out there for whoever comes up with like, like real professional accounting sort of solution, right? Like, it's like, here's all the shit that accountants need so that you can just export to them.
Treat it as any other foreign currency, right? So you have an account that has Bitcoin as its currency. You have accounts that have dollars as a currency. And then you just do whatever you normally do as if you had dollars and euros or something.
The challenge is cost adjustments because of whack capital gain sales. I know now we're truly boring the audience finally.
And they're not the same between fiat and Bitcoin then? Because they treat Bitcoin as different than money?
Yes, Bitcoin is more like a
commodity.
Like chickens? Yeah, commodity, right? So you have to do capital gains on every sale of it.
Well, then you should lobby that they are treated as Bitcoin is treated as money, basically.
They're
that would make accounting easier.
The government wants their cut because they were really there helping you hodl hard. So when you sell for a gain, they really want their cut.
Well, then they should also just get their cut for fiat gains.
Yeah, I know.
So you should lobby for them to get a cut on fiat gains, present it as a way for them to get more taxes. By complicating life for everybody else so that...
it's funny. Like, we always joke that, like, the biggest luck the criminals have is that, like, they don't have to do accounting. Like, as a business owner, I mean, it's nice to have some sense of like where things are at, but like I wouldn't need nearly the same like resolution and accounting that we have. Like, all this shit is just to prove to the tax man you're not cheating, right?
Yeah, some of it is indeed to have some insight that you're actually earning more than you're spending. Yeah. But to a large extent, it is keeping the taxman happy.
That's right. Oh, God. Fuck taxes. But pay them, guys. Don't go to jail.
The Dutch tax authorities used to have a motto saying it was something like, we can't make it any nicer, but we can make it easier. I thought that was a very good motto.
That's kind of funny. I mean, like, at least they have a sense of humor.
Yeah. They stopped doing it, though. I guess it wasn't woke enough. But it was true.
That's funny. All right. Blockstream Green. iOS version 4.0.3. Add import of watch-only wallets through Xpubs. Allow import of code card watch-only, generic JSON, and Electrum format. UI improvements for smaller screens. Android overhaul onboarding UI without hardware wallets. Allow multiple account types in a single wallet. Add more currency settings for single sig wallets. Jade support for liquid single sig wallets. That's cool. Blockstream Green had an update and improved the UI a bit.
I guess we need to wait for them, for Green, right? To just have generic miniscript support.
Yeah.
Because they used to have their own, or they still probably have their own custom multi-sig thing.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that. But I was using them for like single sig wallet for a little while.
Yeah, but if they make it a little bit more flexible and use miniscript, then I guess you can use it in whatever way suits your taste.
Yeah, for base layer wallets, I think we still need more options that are like actually good and can handle like a long history wallet. Because a lot of them start to break after you have like, a few years in it of transactions. It's not fun. Daniel, what do you use for phone wallets? The base layer?
Yeah, that's a good question. I've been using Zeus just to connect directly to my node. Not much. I'm usually generally using desktop for the base layer stuff. If not, perhaps Moon. Yeah, there to go to.
It's surprising how often you can just use Lightning nowadays. That I don't really care about on-chain anymore for mobile.
I have been using some of the Lightning wallets for small on-chain payments as well. They do seem to subsidize some of the extra fees. Don't know if that would scale, but it's kind of nice on a pinch. You can just send a transaction from your Lightning wallet, and then you're reminded how little Bitcoin you have on a Lightning wallet because, like, you're like paying $5 and like all the thousands of sats are gone.
Yeah.
Hopefully, Number Go Up fixes that problem. All right, more phone wallet updates. Blue Wallet version 6.4.1, fixed price rates and ability to search for currencies, startup performance improvements, fixed page join implementations, GUI styling improvements, BIP47 payment codes receive support, add bitstamp support, CoinGecko, and a bunch of other little things. Cool.
It's funny how everyone is adding BIP47 support just as silent payments is getting developed. I mean, it's not there yet, so I get why you want to support something that exists. But it's interesting. Is it almost getting a revival?
I think it's just like lack of options. I think once there is other options, then you probably get deprecated. Plus, like that crowd is pretty loud too. So maybe
this has been around for 8 years, and we hadn't heard much of it until I'd say this year.
Yep, it's a sub 50 BIP. All right, Blixt version 0.6.7 common.
It's Blixt.
We're gonna find out. I forgot. Updated LND to version 0.16.2. Added fee estimations, a few other things here, and Android merge app GUI. What is Blixt again? Let's see.
Blixt is that it runs a little LND node on your mobile, so it's total.
Oh, cool.
It's a nice group. It's totally open source, but it's a nice community if you go on their Telegram group. But essentially, they run their own LND node in a mobile wallet, so it's totally non-custodial. So it's a bit hard to use. You have to sync to an Electrum node, etc.
Is this one of like those like Rust projects? What's the story with this?
No, it's a fork of I think it's either a fork of LND it's definitely LND running inside the mobile wallet, and I think they use Neutrino as well. But no, it's not. It's all written in type. It's all written in TypeScript, JavaScript. So
okay, what's their goal?
Just to have a self-custody wallet, and that runs its own lightweight node. So they built an LSP as well, written in like a very homemade LSP as well. So, but their goal is that they're quite anti-wallet of Satoshi. It's totally the opposite approach.
I see.
Little lightweight node running in your mobile wallet.
Right. I have a feeling that the Mutiny boys are going to sort of like eat up this subsection of the market. Like, like having a WASM wallet right there, either on a sort of like a packaged browser app or on the actual browser itself. Like it should really sort of like, fix this. It's hard to maintain like wallet nodes. And as you said, right, there's all the syncing issues too.
So this architecture of using LND and Neutrino is pretty much what Zap was doing. I think that is not really maintained anymore. So it's good that other people are doing it. One of the downsides I noticed back in the day was that I think it's the neutrino filters mainly. They turn your phone into a very warm object. Yes.
It's like using Damos, for Nostr. The phone is gets nice and toasty and the battery really goes. Shout out, Will. All right. Bitcoin Tribe version 2.1.5. Create or backup your wallet with Bitcoin Keeper. Keeper 1.0.3 import single sig wallets backup. So Keeper and Bitcoin Tribe are both by the same guys in India who are sort of building some interesting different types of Bitcoin wallets, trying to do some multi-sig stuff and that sort of stuff.
Bitcoin is better with friends is their motto. The Bitcoin Tribe on the App Store.
Yeah, there you go. That's a long way from Bitcoin is your enemy's money.
So is this based on some sort of friends rescue scheme?
It's interesting. Like that UI there makes me think that do you think that maybe they switched to BDK or something like that?
Why? Because the BDK has nothing to do with... Well, the link in the show notes, Bitcoin Tribe or Keeper, which is it? Takes you to the App Store, not to GitHub. So that's kind of not the place I can say anything intelligent about it.
That's okay. All right, Swisspay version 1.7.0. Auto fiat conversion, create account directly in app. So this is a Bitcoin POS. I have not tried this. Hey, Daniel, you guys have a lot of Bitcoin POS stuff going on in your neck of the woods. I don't want to dox. I can't remember. I can't remember if your island is doxed or not.
No, I don't think so. Who in particular are you thinking of?
Were you thinking of Coin Corner? Is that what the POS?
Yes, that's
right.
The guys in Isle of Man, yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, different island, very close by, but different island. No, but don't they have like all over the UK somewhere? Like, isn't that like a thing? Or I don't know too much.
No, what they're doing is there's a bunch of plebs called Bridge to Bitcoin that are trying to help with merchant adoption. And they are using Coin Corner as that bridge, because with Coin Corner, they will ship out a point of sale machine. It's not something that they want to do too much. Obviously, you can download their app. And if you open a merchant account, you can download the Coin Corner app and just use your phone as a point of sale machine. But if the business does want that hardware device, then they will ship it over to them as well, as has happened in my brother's cafe. And I think, Nick, actually, you were working on, last time I had you on the show, you were working on your BJJ gym, right? I think, if I remember rightly, and perhaps with the Bridge to Bitcoin guys as well.
Yeah, I mean, I've introduced bridges to Bitcoin guys quite a lot. Unfortunately, my BJJ gym got into a bit of trouble with their banking partners when they went that direction. So,
yeah,
I mean, that's always a challenge, which is a shame because it was because I train at Roger Gracie's, who's like the goat of BJJ. So it would have been. I had a long chat with him. He's very pro Bitcoin. He's been on Joe Rogan and shows like that, so it would have been good. But yeah, I mean, these guys are more into BJJ than Bitcoin, but the banking behind them kind of like said no way. You had the usual arguments, money laundering, all that kind of stuff, terrorist financing.
It's so weird. It's like we're all back to like 2014 again.
Yeah, it's getting weird. It's really bad in the UK right now, Nick. Yeah, the regulators are really trying to.
I don't think it's the regulator. I think it's the banks.
Yeah, it's banks love doing shit that's not legal. I'm not joking. Like,
if you were to walk into a British bank with like Bitcoin socks, you'll get arrested now. It's that bad.
Like I was talking to the bank because I was like, I have a bunch of different companies with this bank, and I've been using them for God knows how long. They never bother us about Bitcoin or anything. And I was sort of like opening an account for a different entity. They had a little bit, I don't want to dox it, but like it had a slightly more complicated structure. And like they're asking for stuff that like completely unrelated to the account to open the account. It's like my lawyer is talking to the bank. It's like, okay, like can you guys send us a list of the stuff you need? Like we don't care. It's like we'll give you all the stuff. You already have everything. And they're like, no, we can't send you the list. And I'm like, okay, well then, like, what do you guys want? Like, it's just also like it's egregious, and they really don't understand the law either, like on how they build their policies. Like my wife does estate litigation, right, and she often has to deal with banks, like when dealing with somebody's estate that died, and the banks are asking for stuff or trying to do things that are completely out of like the actual legal framework for you to deal with estates. Anyways, it's fuck the banks.
Looks like they're getting fucked in the US anyway. So.
I know, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It is. I'm not gonna deny it. Like the shit us for it here is pretty. It's pretty strong.
Well, Croesus, did you see Croesus put out a tweet the other day that like the 3 bank failures that have happened in the last 6 weeks, whatever it is already far bigger than the whole global financial meltdown of 2008.
Yep.
Yeah, this isn't even like hitting the headlines.
And this is the first scandal.
It's unbelievable.
It's now reached the point where if a bank fails, I don't even read it anymore. It's like, okay.
Well, they've changed legislation here where we are so that now they can bail out the bank fully without like much kerfuffle and like parliament and stuff. Mm-hmm. Like apparently now it's just like, oh, hey, they failed here. Because, there's like here, there's maybe like 6 big banks. Well, I guess most countries are like that. If one of those big banks fails, like, like a fifth of the country doesn't get payroll. So they're all ready to go.
So far, the coping I'm hearing in the media, and it may be correct, so maybe it's not coping, in Europe is like, well, so far they were just American banks, and then even the most cowboy-ish American banks in the sense that they were like, they lobbied for their own deregulation, so it's their fault. That was sort of the idea. And then there was one in Switzerland, but hey, Switzerland is not part of the EU rule set, so again, it's their fault. We'll have to wait and see whether that's actually true or when the first big European bank falls over. And it's like, oh, I guess...
Well, Credit Suisse already gone. Right.
Yes.
And nobody's even talking about it.
Deutsche Bank almost failed. Like, I think they got some very fancy mechanisms on how they managed to make it not fail.
You mean in 2008, 2011? Sort of, or?
No, again.
Okay.
They were in trouble again. But, like, guys, like, Europe is worst with the banking stuff. It's just that it looks better. because you guys have more regulations, so like they can hide the shit better. Regulation really is just for them to hide shit.
We have more socialism here. Yeah.
The problem in Europe is like, half of your economy is like euro dollars. So like the dollar farts. Like, you guys are all fucked.
I would imagine that it's not possible for the US banking system to collapse and the European banking system to just be like, yeah, nothing happened.
Right.
I agree.
No.
It's still the weakest link somewhere.
Yep. Well, I mean, I just hope they fail fast and we go back to printing. I remember the good old days of printing overtly, meme, like why pretend?
So the Netherlands has banks that are much too large compared to the economy, like multiple times the size of the economy. And the good news is, at least from our point of view, is that now it's all a European problem. So if a Dutch bank collapses, it used to be a Dutch problem. And now if a Dutch bank collapses, it's a European problem, which means we kind of exported some of our tailwinds.
Nice. That's the way. That's the German way too. All right, coinkite-tap-protocol, better CK-tap upload command with many more options. RIPE-MD 160 imported build issue. ASCII armor on signature improved.
How do you improve an ASCII armor? Isn't that completely standardized?
I can't. I don't know what the guys did. I'll be very honest on this one. Like I did not follow this library that the guys are maintaining.
But what is it? It's a library that you're using in the wallet.
Yeah. So this is our comms library. So on how you interact with the cards is like the reference library.
Oh, it's not what runs on the card. It's how you talk to the card.
That's right. That's how you talk to the card.
All right. And what's it? CK-tap?
Yep.
What is a CK-tap?
What?
It says better CK-tap upload. What is a CK-tap?
Yeah. So CK-tap is coinkite-tap-protocol. Like CK-tap is the little program that does
Oh, okay. It's a command.
Yeah. That's the command.
Right. That's what it says.
But the idea of like this library really is to be a reference library. Like most people are doing this on the phone with like Swift or, C or whatever they want to do.
I still have this little thing. I guess you can.
Oh, no, I need to send you the blue one. The blue one is better.
The blue one? Okay.
The new one, yeah.
Yeah, because once I bought it, then it turns out there was like two different NFC protocols, and then I kind of went into my avoid work mode.
This happens often where like people go on Amazon and buy the one that like looks cheaper because they all look the same as well. And then like they don't have the same chipset. And the one that has the good chipset that works with everything and all the OSs is like 3-4 times more.
I don't think I bought it based on price. I think I looked for some fora of people saying, what do you use as an NFC reader on Linux? And I think this one popped up.
Right.
But then it turns out there was a different one. And I think one of there's some people doing Bitcoin chip cards NFC with one standard and others are doing
but those are just tag cards. Like those are just like hotel keys. It's kind of like the coin corner cards. They're just like a hotel key with LNURL inside, I think. Don't hold me to it.
So the difference is one of them will just give you spit out some piece of text if you tap them. That's kind of what I guess Martijn Wismeijer, the Dutch guy with the beard, who used to put a chip in his hand.
Yes.
With the private key. And that was literally anybody who taps it will have his private key. Obviously, it was password encrypted. But you're saying that's one standard that's being used?
Yeah, no, the CK-tap stuff is completely like it's a whole different thing because like we're doing a lot of back and forth and there's Bitcoin signatures being done inside the cards and there's pin challenges and
the difference is that your card keeps the secret on the card essentially.
That's well, he also
do whatever
signs
you
in
tell
the
it
card.
to do if you tap something, but
That's
it
right.
will not yield its secret.
Well, to a certain extent, yes. All right, RoninDojo version 2.0.0. Updated PGP key file, added RoninDojo PGP public key, update BTCX Zelko's public key, switch expected OS from Manjaro to Debian, added update script that warns version 1.x users to migrate to version 2, added Tune 2 FS on backup drive when installing it. I don't know. Do you guys use Dojo?
No.
Nope.
BTC Map Android version 0.6.5. Translations to French, Russian, Spanish, and Thai. Okay. So I went on this thing and it's like The problem is like a lot of the locations are like stale and like don't really follow like I think just a quality control there issue.
That's exactly what they're trying to do. That they're because I don't know if you've met Nathan, who started BTC Maps. He started it from the front row of the Baltic Honey Badger conference when he was listening to a panel and he had an epiphany and he just whipped out his laptop. There was an existing BTC Map project, but he took over it. But what they're trying to do now is re-verify everything that was listed. So
that's a daunting job.
Oh yeah. So they call themselves the shadowy super taggers. So
Amazing.
Anybody can do this. Any pleb out there that is traveling, if you download BTC Maps and go to it and you turn up in the city or town or village that you're visiting and you see one of these places that accepts Bitcoin, please go inside, please check, please verify. And if there is a way that you can verify it yourself, or you can just shoot BTC Maps a DM and say yay or nay. But it's arduous work, and they're committed to doing it, which is great, and they need the community's support.
Well, power to Nathan, and that's very cool you guys are doing this. There used to be the fun, remember, like eons ago, every time a new place would accept Bitcoin, you'd show up at top of Reddit, everybody would do a big dance. There was like a huge kumbaya. People would fly there to try to use Bitcoin there, like that was different times.
It's still happening. My brother, I set him up with Coin Corner in his cafe, and people drive from miles around. One dude, he's, I don't know, 50s, 60s. He drove about 2.5 hours across the country just to go and have some croissants and a coffee and gift my brother a hand-carved clock to hang on his wall. This is the length of shit that plebs will go to just to support a business that is now accepting Bitcoin. So, the hashtag accept it, they will come is, it's true. It's a great meme. It works.
It is pretty cool, man. I'm always amazed that like almost half of our revenue is Bitcoin. Like, because
half.
People.
Wow.
Yeah. Of course it depends, right? Like if the price is like shooting in a different direction, that ratio will change. But like in normal, a little bit more sort of like stable times, like it can get to half. Like it's crazy, right?
We have a few places in the country, but not as many as you'd want. But there's one cafe in Haarlem, well, the real Haarlem, that takes Bitcoin.
The real Haarlem.
Haarlem, Holland.
OG Haarlem.
Exactly. The place is named after. And they have Bitcoin meetups, I think it's every month or so. And then you'd have maybe 100 or more people showing up, and they all use Lightning, and it seems to work pretty well. But most places, I don't even ask anymore. It's like, it's not worth it bothering. Most of these shops have existing payment terminal systems, and it's just, they don't even want to deal with how their own payments work.
Like in a way, I'm like totally fine not spending BTC. I just like when there is places that make it very easy, like the Bitcoin Park, where there's like a tablet there. You just type the drink you picked up from the fridge and you send BTC to it. Like, that's fine. But like going through the effort, like I still rather like spend fiat. Like I want my fiat to go out, not the BTC. Yeah,
but I get most of my income through BTC. So it means just more having to convert more and sending it to the banking system where it could get, stolen by bankers.
Yeah, I ask every time. I'm a pain in the ass. And because what they're doing now in Europe, I don't know if they're doing this in UK, Nick, you can confirm, but on the bottom of every receipt now is a QR code. I don't know why they're just putting this in, but every time I go up to pay a bill, I look at the receipt and I see the QR code and I go to flash it with my phone. I say, oh, you guys accept Bitcoin. And then they go cross-eyed. And like, what are you talking about? I said, this is a Bitcoin QR code on the receipt. Then, oh, let me go get the manager. I'm like, go for it. Let's have a conversation. So yeah, I'm always doing it.
That's funny.
I won't give up. Nick, is it the same in the UK?
I haven't seen it, but I mean, there are more and more bars and pubs and little businesses that are taking Bitcoin. And credit to your friends, Bridges to Bitcoin. They seem to get a new little business in London every month now, and it's starting to pick up. And then the meetups kind of follow them, and they get free business essentially, and it is picking up.
Bitcoin Jungle in Costa Rica. I mean, like, Vita, like I think that I went to maybe 2 or 3 places didn't accept Bitcoin. Like everything else did. It was weird.
Gigi told me he could move there tomorrow and like you can live on a Bitcoin standard. Like no problem.
Yeah. Like there's absolutely nothing like that does not accept Bitcoin. Like it's weird. Like, you know, as a Bitcoiner has been around for a little bit, like you know what I mean? Like it's hard to wrap your head around that. Yeah. Like that the places already are on the Bitcoin standard. It's supposed to like you're trying to convince them that you have some magical money. Please accept it. One thing that's fun that I've been doing is I load up Sats cards of like $5, $10, and then I leave that with a tip in a bill in a standard restaurant kind of thing that wouldn't accept Bitcoin, and I tell them, hey, there is Bitcoin here if you figure out how to get it out, and I leave it there. The Bitcoin is there; it's yours already,
and you can't take it back either, right?
No. You know, like the thing that I hate the most, orange peeling people, is having to have them set up a wallet and stuff. So like just leaving them with the Bitcoin and say, hey, here's money. Don't lose it. They tend to not lose it.
Oh, they maybe things have changed. But I remember the old blockchain wallet used to have a feature that was like you could send Bitcoin to an email address. And this was done in a way that was like sort of deliberately not super secure. As in, it would create a private key and it would email it to the recipient. Essentially, right? That's not what it would show in the UI. It would just say, "Oh, receive your Bitcoin," but it would still be in your own wallet. So if the recipient didn't like properly move it, you would be able to reclaim it, which is useful when the person you're sending it to just doesn't do anything with it. But others can set up a wallet and just forget their password, and then 10 years later, they'd be like, "Oh, I guess I still had some Bitcoin." But
a lot of people lost. Like I remember giving people Bitcoin, and they would put in the blockchain.info wallet, but they wouldn't make a backup of that wallet, and then they would change phones. And you know, in those days, changing phones was not like you know all your stuff to show up in the new phone, right? And you know, and then like 5 years later, they would show up and say, "Hey, remember that Bitcoin you gave me? I can't find it." I'm like, "Yeah, did you back it up? No. Well, it's gone."
Typically, if you just have an email and you didn't forget your password, you would get it back, right? You just
no. Like this is before that. It was you had to back up like a private key from the app. I don't think it was even Mnemonic.
Mnemonic was in 2015, roughly. But before that, the wallet stored all your private keys, and you would have an identifier that basically, if it was associated with your email, you would get access to it. But the problem is that people would use a PIN code and then wouldn't remember their password. And then you're quite screwed, unless it's brute forceable.
So it's yours. I just checked. I don't know if you're in Harlem or, I'm not going to dox you, but you could get according to BTC Maps, you could go for a nice coffee down by the river at Café de Koning, and you can get your hair cut. Probably not interesting. You can go and get a beer at Café de Roma, which is
where they have the Bitcoin meetups.
There you go. All right. So if I ever go to Harlem, this one's not verified. So you've got some work to do. You need to go and verify a Taste of Home, 42 Gedempte Utrecht. I'm sure I pronounced that.
But do you have anything in Utrecht? Because that's where I live. That's publicly known.
Oh, Utrecht. Do I need to go north or south? Hang on, let's...
Just type Utrecht. UTR.
That's where the tower is.
Utrecht.
I've been there. Okay. There's like there's a famous tower there.
Yes. The Dome Tower is like a 112-meter high church.
That's right.
Let's see. What's this? Social... Do you know... Oh, it's not verified. Social Bowl? Sociable.
Nope.
Cafe down by the river there. Oh, that looked like something. The Joker? What's this?
There's canals.
The Joker. I don't know what that is. It's a picture of a car. It's verified.
So what's this? Is there a website for it or just the app?
Just the app. BTC Maps. What's this? Mimbre. Mimbre. Is verified. Mimbre Hamon. Maybe it's a delicatessen.
Spanish delicatesses.
They accept Bitcoin. Verified on the 11th of March, 2022. Go get your saucisson.
And that's it. The city of 100,000 people.
Yeah. Get out there. Orange pill some people.
Okay, so BTC, man, I'm moving slow with this code. BTC Pay Server, new plugin. LN Prism allows to automatically split sats post-settlement. That's cool. Joinbox. That's a nice one. Version 0.7.7. Custom change address when sending without or with or without a coin join. Joinbox is an interesting project. If you want to do join markets and don't want to sort out a lot of the stuff, Joinbox does most of it for you. Parmanode. Parman was doing some noise about this. Version 2.3.4. BTC Pay on Linux. Tor, Docker, slightly better menus.
Shout out Parman, who's building the nodes. A very easy kind of noob-friendly way to install a node. He's such a great pleb, and thank you for everything you're doing, brother.
He does write some good tutorial guides and things.
He's excellent.
Yeah, it's one of those people that try to understand things from first principles. So he goes through his journey on whatever is the new thing that he's interested in, and then he writes about it. It's great to see people doing that.
If anybody wants to do consultations with him, he's I've done him at 3 a.m. in the morning his time, and he just sits there going through and now do this and now do that and now do this. He's so helpful. So yeah, great guy.
That's pretty awesome. Trezor version 23.4.2 CoinJoin released with it's with Wasabi, available for Trezor Model T. The Wasabi controversy is always interesting.
Pretty bold move. I mean, yeah, the Wasabi, the downside, I guess, of Wasabi is if you use the main coordinator, which, you don't have to, is that they run all the inputs through the, approval oracle known as Chainalysis. So Chainalysis will just say, this input is okay, this input is not okay. One thing I would want to check with them at some point is when you create so Wasabi does everything over Tor, right? So that kind of nice, it keeps you somewhat anonymous. I'm hoping it doesn't send the whole XMAP over Tor, just the addresses that you're using for the mixer. That's what I'm hoping. But the thing is, when you set up a Trezor by default, my guess is it will just use your browser and send over the XPub to that server because you generally don't run it on a full node. So I would be very scary about that combination of starting up a Trezor the default way and then using it with a mixer.
Yeah, that's not a good idea.
You have to have a very clean setup from the start, where it's okay, this is this wallet you're going to use only for your mixing stuff.
Well, another issue too is that Trezor has your shipping information, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So you really, really don't want the people who ship you the hardware wallet to also have transaction visibility. So use a VPN or something.
Yeah, and the thing is, if you use this Chainalysis oracle, like you saying, hey, would you mind if I use this coin? Then Chainalysis knows, so now we have somebody who's trying to use a mixer, and maybe one day we move towards where even trying to use a mixer is something that'll be flagged somewhere in a database.
Well, you become person of interest. Try to mix, save. Try to mix, save. You know what I mean? And it's
yeah, exactly. But that depends on how it works, right? It's possible that I hope that Chainalysis sends the oracle list to the Wasabi coordinator, basically saying,
I don't think that's how it works.
Rather than the other way around, where it's
I think you have to feed your transaction data to Chainalysis, and then they give you yes or no.
Yeah, that's very bad because that means they record all the attempts.
But again, I do not want to speculate on this topic because this topic makes people very crunchy. So if anybody knows, let us know.
The problem with coordinators is I guess you can't see what they're doing.
Yes.
Because even
if a lot of trust,
you have no idea what's actually running on the server that's doing the coordination. So that's a tricky one.
It's a lot of trust involved.
Still, I think it's a bold move because it's nice to say basically the public statement here is hey, mixers are normal, mixers are good. Dear governments, get used to it. Everybody can use them now. So I think that's but there could be some problems with this.
Yep, it's very cool. Mercury Wallet, blinded two-party ECDSA. So this is a new pull request. I don't know much about it. Somebody just tweeted at me. I don't know if it's a welcome PR or not. I assume it is. It's a lot of work in this. I also don't know too much about how Mercury Wallet works.
I know a guy.
Nick?
Hello, yeah. So originally,
that was the hint.
okay, yeah. So originally, when I think Ruben first came out with the idea of state chains, a lot of the paper talked about it being blinded. And when we originally built the first attempt, I mean, we didn't, and there were a few reasons for that. None of the cryptographic libraries were kind of mature enough, and then we thought there'd be quite a lot of UI challenges. But in the last 6 months to a year, we've been focused in rewriting the backend to be fully blinded. And what this means is that our backend will have no knowledge of any Bitcoin addresses. So essentially, when people want to create a state chain, a state coin, they essentially get back a token ID, and that's all we see. So our service allows people to transfer these UTXOs off-chain. At the moment, we see the Bitcoin address, we sign it, we allow people to move these coins, and we allow people to facilitate coin swaps. But we do see the Bitcoin address. Now, being fully blinded, we won't see anything. We essentially will be like a virtual open dime or virtual, and that's all we see. So this means if people want to ask us, I know it's a sensitive subject, do we use chain analysis? Well, we wouldn't be able to anyway, because all we see are these kind of state coin IDs. We see
Nice.
we don't see any Bitcoin addresses, so we're just blindingly signing things. Yeah, we could be signing, anything.
That is the way. It's like, make sure that you just can't do the thing.
I think that was Blockstream's motto, right? Can't be evil. That's at least I think that's a good goal to have.
So are you guys seeing volume?
Sorry?
Are you guys seeing volume?
Well, okay, so we built all the back-end code for it, but we haven't finished the UI, so we probably need more. I'm going to say 1 month. So in software, you always imagine you're coding it drunk and times it by 2. So probably 2 months, 2 to 3 months for the UI to be done. But but the back end is complete. We're quite happy about it. And for us, it's a big change because I think it really is. It's cool. It means no one, because people ask us, do we do chain analysis or nothing? And even if I say no, you wouldn't, I can't ask you to trust me, but now there's no way we will have no addresses, nothing, because it's impossible for us to do anything here. And I think that's a big change, and I think that's the way a lot of these layer 2s should hopefully go. And we essentially just become like an open dime company, just virtual. So
I love that. I love open dimes, virtual or physical.
Yeah.
Is there a reason why you went through the trouble of doing this in ECDSA rather than just jumping to Schnorr?
Well, originally when we went down the direction, when we built Mercury Wallet, Schnorr, there wasn't any stable version of Schnorr on the back end with two-party ECDSA, so none of the libraries were ready back then, because I think we'd been live for just over a year. Factoring it probably took us a year to build it as well, so that wasn't ready. So, but we could use Schnorr now, but it's still it'd be a lot of engineering for us to switch to Schnorr. So.
Right. Well, I would imagine that it would simplify things, so it would make it easier to audit that you're not doing anything wrong.
Yeah, but we use two-party ECDSA. It's kind of the way we manage our key shares, so it's kind of core to the way our transfer protocol works. So there's a lot of. I'm not a cryptographer. I'm a software guy. So yeah, I can't answer.
Never write your crypto library.
That's a good disclaimer. Just my poor man's understanding of the difference between ECDSA and Schnorr is that ECDSA is essentially a maimed version of Schnorr. Like they just had to add stuff to it to get around the patent, which implies that if you have something working in ECDSA, you should probably only have to delete things so that it works in Schnorr. Basically, you strip out all the nonsense and you're left with Schnorr. So naively, it would be pretty easy to go towards Schnorr by just removing all the ugly stuff, and the end result would be cleaner. But that's a very, very naive view of it.
Yeah, no, it's like we're working, we're almost done adding Taproot Schnorr to Coldcard. And dude, it's like
Taproot complexity, that's a different story, right? If you want to do anything.
Well, no, I mean just the basic Schnorr signing. Like, I mean, it's not gonna go all the way to all the Taproot features and stuff, right? I mean, I'm talking about just like the basics, and it's a lot of changes, right? Like a lot of changes.
So you're not using something like libsecp or some other.
No, we are. It is still, but you have all the bindings, right? And then you have all the test cases, and then you have all like, it's just, and that's the money that really touches. That's the part that really touches the money, right? So
you need to be backwards compatible, because you can't just say, "Hey, Coldcard users, I'm going to do a Bitcoin hackers Mastodon on you," and you just,
So yeah, we have a big diff coming But we're going to release it as an edge release. So like a separate release so that people sort of really play with it, find all the bugs. And, it's going to take a long time to make it into the main release. But the cool thing is it'll be signed. So if you want us to run it, you could run it.
And then after that is music multisig on Coldcard.
Then is Miniscript, and then is Music.
I think LibSecP also doesn't have music yet. Because I'm also waiting for that, because in nth key at
it's on the Z version, isn't it?
Oh, I didn't even know it was there at all. But yeah.
Oh, maybe it's not. I don't know. No, it can't be, right? It's too soon.
Well, the BIP is very new, so yeah, I don't know if there's anything.
Yeah, I know. Like as a hardware wallet, I want to be a laggard when it comes to like new primitives. Like we really have to be last because people don't use their hardware wallets to just fuck around. They use it for like money and their real stuff. So.
Yeah, but as a developer, I'd like to see some experimental firmware for Signet, for example, because then I can start playing with these constructs.
Right.
And it's kind of annoying to try and develop something if there's no other hardware devices that can do it.
It's coming. All right. Project Spotlights. Soma, space chain inspired by open markets for assets by FIATF. Rindell was giving me a bit of a rundown of this. I'm not going to get into it, but this is a lot more palatable than drive chains and does not sort of like require any Bitcoin changes, which is great.
All it needs is any prev out to be activated on Bitcoin.
That's right. What's interesting is that all these things like Taro and all these things, like they don't interrupt with all the other wannabe Bitcoin based shitcoins, right? So they still need exchanges to make fees. And that's probably where the business is. So as soon as somebody comes up with something that doesn't have, that they can interrupt with all the other token crap that people want to do, then I think it gets more interesting. But we'll see there. So props FIATF for doing this. Man is a machine. Preturnio, a full text search engine for Bitcoin, searches inside every op return. Oh, that's cool.
Oh, that's very cool.
That is very cool. There's a lot of interesting messages on op returns.
Yeah, that reminds me of the Chainalysis post that was deleted.
Yeah.
I don't know if you read that one.
No.
So a couple weeks ago, Chainalysis posted a blog post, or I think it was last week, and they said, hey, we found a bunch of op return transactions that were pointing towards, some cluster. Basically, people were just spamming addresses that they saw on the internet and putting message in the op return, and the messages were like, hey, this is Russian intelligence, and they used it for this, and this is, the Russian military, whatever. And they wrote a whole blog post analyzing, how credible is this? We don't really know. And then they deleted the blog post. So that's really interesting to me. It's like, hey.
Yeah, because you can definitely delete something on the internet.
Yeah, they couldn't. So I only read it after they deleted it. And my theory is, I don't know. But anyway, you would be able to find these things easier with a search engine for op return.
Huh. That's interesting. Bitcoin is data. Hard to get Bitcoin metrics and visualizations. Present Bitcoin metrics provides raw data, download CSV and XLSX formats. Cool. Blockchain data, it's fun and interesting. Satmap.app. Find and connect with local Bitcoin businesses. Is this similar to Orange Pill app, Daniel?
I've not heard of SatMap, but that's what Orange Pill app does eventually want to become, like the orange pages, for Bitcoiners. So they've got the first MVP was let's just get plebs on there and see if people want to connect, and they do. There's over 5,000 users on there now. Then events are live. So cool. If you what's cool about it is you can. On the events page, you just hit the events and it's getting really populated. Even Bitcoin conference, the Miami conference is listed. But the side events are listing now. So if you want to get to the Toxic Happy Hour and you don't know when or where it is, you just go to Orange Pill app, you hit events, nearby what's coming up, you can do either search. And sure enough, it's all listed there. It's brilliant. Bitcoin Racing are putting all of their race weekends on there. So in the UK this weekend, for example, they're going to be in Brands Hatch, and they're in the Porsche Carrera Cup now. That they've got a seat in the Porsche Carrera Cup. That's in front of 4 million TV viewers on ITV throughout the season, and they run a meetup at some of these race meets as well. So it's cool, very, very cool. But I've not heard of these guys, so it's interesting, and I'm sure Matteo would be interested.
Where can people find your app, Daniel?
Orange Pill app, iOS, on both app stores, or go to orangepillapp.com. I just sit on the advisory board. Matteo is the founder. I had him on the podcast just about 5 episodes ago. So if people are interested, they can go and listen to that and the reason he started it. It's not a dating app is the hashtag meme. Because of course it's a sausage party.
it's a buddy dating app.
Yeah, exactly. It's the grinder app of Bitcoin, but
that's right.
We need more women in Bitcoin. The problem is it's $800 for women to join Orange Pill app, so maybe we need to bring that down.
No, I mean what's happening is we're just going to have most men turn into women because it's a trend now, and that resolves all the gender issues that people think Bitcoin has. Yeah, let's just convert half of the Bitcoiners to women.
Let's do it. We're in talks with Bud Light and Anheuser-Busch, so maybe they can be the main sponsor.
Perfect.
Yeah, get on there, brother.
See, Bitcoin fixes everything.
It does. And just like BTC Maps, when you get to a new town or a new city, I was in Andorra for a weekend meetup just last weekend past. Shout out to Tib that put that together. Thibaut Marechal, he put that together, and it was a great event. But you turn up, it's like, right, okay, who's nearby? And there's a few people in Andorra that he hadn't even met yet. I'm like, you see, it works. So then you can connect and chat, and he's like, yo, we're throwing a meetup, or can I come and meet you for a coffee? I'm just passing through. It's a great way.
Yo, you can tell the truth. It's all dick pics.
It is a paid app, right? It's a paid app. You've got to remember this. And you can pay via the Lightning Network because you don't want the crypto bros and you don't want the spammers. You want just pure Bitcoiners and plebs on there.
It's nice that Lightning is still enough of a barrier. It's not a huge barrier, but at least it keeps the uninteresting people out, I guess.
Yep.
We have a meetup in the Netherlands too. I think it's a monthly one where you have to pay an entrance fee, and you have to pay with Bitcoin.
Cool.
Yeah, no, I mean it's
Awesome.
fascinating how just charging for things really cleans up a bit.
Yeah, it's 10 Bored Apes to get into our event. Who's coming?
Hang on, give me a pen and paper. I'll give you 20, so I get a free beer too. All right, Wallets of Satoshi 2.1.13, new point of sale fix, and a few fixes there. Wallet of Satoshi is custodial, but man, they are onboarding people, and it's they're huge volume too. And they made it easy for a lot of people to come zap on Nostr. So props to them. Rust Lightning version 0.0.115. What a way of saying we're not ready. Puts 2 zeros. So the MRS-RV of the main LDK crates has been increased to 1.48. Okay, it's a long list. Any comments there, Nick or Shores?
Well, I see the word Bolt.12 in there, so that's good. They're working on that because I think we need, hopefully that standard will be finished soon. TM. All
right. LND version 0.16.2-beta. Mempool scanning logic no longer blocks startup. LNBits SaaS. You can now spin your own LNBits instance paid in sats per hour. That's great. Good on you, Ben and Kali. LNBits is a pretty awesome project. I mean, these guys are really pragmatic shippers. Alby, Nostr Wallet Connect. Lightning Bridge implements WebLN. Oh, and they also have an Alby SDK to get started. So Alby is really cool, man. I don't know, I feel like they're really sort of heads down shipping. One of the only Lightning wallets that are really Node with Zeus that never had any issues paying anything. So that's kind of cool. I hope they come up with an app. Anyways, Voltage, NIP5, and Lightning addresses. Voltage releases their Nostr toolkit. Do you guys use Voltage? So I just got acquainted with them this week because I'm thinking about using them as the backend for our store Lightning operations. I don't have the bandwidth to maintain our own Lightning infrastructure, and the volume will be a pain in the ass to deal with too. So maybe they're the ones. Still exploring. They do seem polished, and I think they use LND on the back. Bolt.observer, the new alerts on Liquid Ops, Node, and Liquid Automation. Mutiny Node version 0.2.8. LNURL off with multiple profiles have been added. Try mempool API schema first in case user configured to mempool Explorer instance can now open channels to CLN LSB. Shout out to Paul, Tony, and and Ben. Ben, I'm blanking here. This code is killing me. All right. Lightning Loop. Lightning Loop is a non-custodial service offered by Lightning Labs that makes it easy to move Bitcoin into and out of the Liquid network. Set Musig 2 to be default swap protocol. Okay. That's edgy.
Well, Lightning is one of the earlier adopters for music.
Yep.
That
makes sense, right?
Because they have to do complicated things. They have to be online all the time. They're pretty good at not reusing nonces.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nayuta Wallet version 0.1.7 Android Lightning Wallet. Have not tried this yet.
Nayuta was the fourth Lightning implementation, right? Or at least one of the original ones? Or is that a different Japanese?
I am not sure.
So Nayuta was behind Parmanode, however you want to pronounce it, which I think was an independent Lightning implementation. So different from C Lightning, different from LND, different from Rust Lightning. But I think they stopped working on it.
Yeah, it's a lot of code to maintain too, so I can't imagine why you would do that.
Ask the Electrum people.
Yeah. Well, I know. I still don't understand why they created their own Lightning thing and integrated the same wallet. Stalker News, subs released. Man, Stalker News, I really want to see them like replace a lot of their stuff with Nostr. To me, like it's kind of like lost the point of trying to make all these things on database, on your own sort of centralized database. I think they have like a great UI, just like, like have some first mover advantage with that domain. Guys, just embrace the Nostr and replace it all with Nostr posts. It makes your life easier too.
They've done a great job, though, of onboarding people to Lightning, though. One of the easiest ways I've found to get people to use Lightning is Stacker News.
Oh, for sure. No, but and it's not mutually exclusive, right?
Yeah. They
can still have exactly their onboarding, everything. Just have the posts be Nostr posts by the poster. Sphinx Relay version 2.3.1. Feet Sentiment Bot. Simplify Load Lightning. Update Sentiment Bot. Sentiment Bot, Cache Stack Task, Feed Cache integration. It's kind of cool to see Paul still maintaining the Sphinx protocol. And
that's an encrypted chat protocol, or what is it for?
That's what they started with, right? Sphinx Chat. Yeah. They were so early, so damn early with that.
It was the first pod 2.0. It was the first pod 2.0.
It was incredible.
And it was all over Lightning, right? All messages over Lightning.
Yep. So it's good to see that they're still around and building. So, and Paul's a great guy, Paul Itoy. So let's see what happens. I'm glad that they're in the news.
He's also a fellow hunter too.
Yes, he is. Yeah, and homeschooling father.
That's right.
Yeah, he's a Chad.
Yes, he is. All right, Project Spotlight. Strom by Sentimoto, an open source application to allow charge point owners to accept Lightning payments for charging sessions. Cool.
I think it's
NFC wrist. Sorry, Shores, go ahead.
It's probably Strom, right? If it's a sort of a German word.
Strom. I think you're just trying to be Dutch about it.
Power. No, German.
Oh,
just means power. They have a diagram on their GitHub page. I don't know if you've seen it. It is very complicated. Yeah, I guess my question would be, how open are these charging networks? It's still dominated by Shell and all these other companies that have... It's a very complicated system from my understanding. It's very untransparent. Like, people will have 15 different cards, and then they go to any of these charging points on the street, and they don't display their rates, and the rates is going to be different depending on which card you use. It's a complete mess. But if it is open and you can hook onto it with Lightning, then that's nice.
I mean, or you can also just have your own generator with some Dizzo in it and then charge your own car like that.
You could, yes.
But then you don't get subsidized. NFC wristband to LNURL for Bitcoin tipping your bartender over Lightning. LN Scratch. Play free scratch cards every day and win real Bitcoin. That's fun.
Right, the NFC wristband, is the bartender wearing that? Or are you wearing that?
I guess.
Because this will get really cultish. If Bitcoiners go to a bar and they just hand a armband to the waiter.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's on the way to... Yeah, I just checked through Benjamin Woolsey on Twitter. Woosley, excuse me.
It's better than a tattoo. Localsats. Buy and sell Bitcoin in person. Anonymously log in with Lightning. Okay, that's cool. Clams, a free and open source browser interface for securely and remotely controlling your core Lightning node. Okay, it's got a nice Art Deco Clam logo there too. Oh, it's written in TypeScript and Svelte. All right, Scribsat.com, independent payments for your ghost site. Okay. That's another thing that's getting replaced by Nostr there. There's a nblog and a few others. It's like Ghost, but you don't have to host anything. You just host the layout of your site somewhere. It's just plain HTML, and then it pulls stuff that you wrote to it from your npub. I don't want to see things in database anymore. Screw all the hosted thing. All the content, all the text content should exist on the Nostr network.
Which means it's completely ephemeral. It sounds like an anti-feature to me. If I write a blog post, I'd like it to not disappear because some relay took it down.
But you can keep a copy. You can just, like, what people are doing is you just run your own private relay that you just sort of like stuff your copy of everything. What I think is going to happen soon is that services will pop up offering, say, like 10 years data storage, right? Because it's like nearly nothing if there is no retrieval. So you just keep on pushing to something, like you give them your npub, right? And they just take everything you push and store it for you. I think it's going to happen. It will be pretty cheap too. You can probably send it to rsync.net or something like that. All right, the Nostr part of the show. I'm going to be quick because we're going to start doing the Nostr review list soon, because this is just projects that were kind of like related to Bitcoin. That's why they're here. But the list is just ginormous for Nostr. So it was already starting to become silly. So I think we need 2 separate episodes.
Nostr.review, or you're just going to tag?
So some squatter has the domain. I have nostr.reviews. If he wants to trade, the plural for the singular would be great. I'll be very grateful. Otherwise, no, I think I'm just going to run it through Bitcoin review, and it's going to be the Nostr list episode. Otherwise, it's just too many domains. All right, so Monstro, a Lightning Network peer-to-peer exchange platform built on Nostr. That's pretty cool. Mind you guys, a lot of this stuff I haven't tried it yet, but like, I don't know, I just feel like it's super important to mention them out loud so people go play with them, get some ideas, and go build. Coinster, Bitcoin Taproot multi-custody, using Nostr to coordinate transactions using a TapScript, miniscript spending policies. That's very cool. Using Nostr as the transport for this kind of stuff is interesting.
Yeah, but I would not want to broadcast my transaction proposals over a public relay.
No.
Even if they're encrypted, which I assume they are.
No. Swap service, an order book for performing submarine swaps over Nostr. That's pretty cool. That would be cool to be done publicly.
Yeah, those are inherently, you want to do them public, right?
Yes,
Everybody wants
exactly.
to be able to make an offer. So there it makes sense.
I think the thing that's going to really, really push Nostr over the edge in terms of adoption is not going to be the social media stuff. It's going to be the markets. Because what you're essentially doing is you're broadcasting offers and bids, and you want to do that publicly and censorship resistant, right? So like it's like absolutely perfect for that.
For any kind of market that cannot be done on a centralized system, right?
Yeah.
I would not want to. I mean, the stock exchange works perfectly fine because it's all regulated, and then
unless they stop it because they feel like it's going south too fast, right? That's the problem with all that shit.
They only have what do they call them? Breaking circuit breakers.
Circuit breakers.
A circuit breaker only on the downside, though, right? I mean, it can moon as much as it likes.
That's right.
Yeah.
When our friends are starting to lose money, we press the button.
Yep.
That's the policy. I mean, but you're right, Shores. Like, I mean, like it's talking like centralized services are more efficient by definition, right? But
and also because the ownership of it's all centrally controlled anyway. You're a publicly listed company. You control what these shares actually mean in the end. So I don't see much benefit to decentralization there. But if you're doing, something like, okay, I want to inbound liquidity to my Lightning node, that makes sense to just do it publicly.
Well, I think a lot of the gambling that people do in Wall Street is going to move to the web. I mean, they already did with Ethereum, right? Like that's essentially what people are doing. They're just remaking Wall Street with sort of like new owners and more options of owners.
Well, Wall Street has two functions, right? It has the function of raising capital for a business, and it has a function of gambling. And the gambling
is dwarfs.
So that's why people move to Robinhood.
That's right.
And then, if Robinhood gets shut down, then they move to Ethereum. Or
well, in Robinhood, the problem is like they're all front running their own customers, right? That's what Citadel was doing with the Robinhood stuff. Anyways, nostr-tx-broadcast by Bane the Carman. I listen to Nostr relays for Bitcoin transactions, events, and broadcast them to the Bitcoin network. That's pretty cool.
That is horrible privacy.
But it depends on what you're trying to do, right? And you can create a new key pair on Nostr and broadcast that. So like you can preserve your privacy.
Yeah, I guess you could go on Tor and then create a new Nostr entity, send it to a relay, and then have it broadcasted.
Mind you, that's one click, right? Like most of the web clients, you press a button, they create a new identity for you, a new key pair.
Yeah, I guess it's suitable for if you want to do this manually, right? Because if you want your Bitcoin software to do it, it can just make a Tor connection.
Yep.
But it's kind of cool.
I like the idea of people broadcasting transactions through many different means.
You could also even charge for it, right? So you would actually take a small Lightning payment, and then in exchange for that payment, you will broadcast the Bitcoin transaction.
Yep. I mean, I wanted to do something like this with Ham Radio. I wanted to have nodes that listen for transactions over the air, and there would be an extra address, an extra output that goes to a known private key, and then it would be a race condition to see who sweeps it. But then you don't need coordination to pay the listener for broadcasting your transaction. But it kind of became it's kind of pointless too.
Well, there you could use Bolt.12. So a Bolt.12, basically you can have one of them can be take my money. So you can say, here's 20 sats. And so you first you broadcast the Bolt.12 and then the transaction. But I don't know how you could make that conditional.
Yeah, no, see, the ideal would be fully uncoordinated, right? You just broadcast something in the air once, because that might be the only chance you have, and that's it, right? And somehow you help bootstrap the network with some fee. All right, Munster. I think, didn't I bring this up already? No. An open source Musig privacy-based wallet built on Nostr. I just saw that on Twitter. I have not had a chance to look into it, but it seemed very interesting.
Yeah, again, the idea of privacy-based and publicly broadcasting, I don't think it's a good mix. Even if you can make anonymous identities, it's just you're leaving so many breadcrumbs.
Yeah, I guess like what I want to see is people exploring it, right? Like I don't think anybody's selling these tools as like, fully baked and please do this with your life-threatening situation.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's important that like, people like you are bringing up that, there are concerns. Primo adds search functionality in, I think, notifications as well. Really like that client. That's what I use in the browser now.
Which client is that?
Primal.net. Okay.
I'm still using Iris. So.
Yeah, no, this is, it's quite It's quite an upgrade for the web. And it has text search, which is kind of nice. All right. Shar, since I have you here, do you want to do OpTech? Just like any special updates here that are like very, very worth mentioning?
Yeah, we can have a look. I mean, I haven't read the discussions recently, so they refer to the mempool P2P message, which is potentially interesting. My understanding is that this is used. The original function was to say, "Hey, give me your entire mempool," but the problem with that is then you can start fingerprinting nodes based on what's in the mempool and when. So it's been very far restricted. So I think the proposal was to just drop it, but there's still some use cases left where you might be running one node and another node, and you want to sync those two nodes for the first time. So there's that. Well, let's see if there's anything else. Then there's the Merkleized all the things vaults. Haven't read it. I know Salvatore gave a presentation at Advancing Bitcoin about Merkleizing all the things, which was an interesting presentation.
That's cool.
I don't know if those videos are up yet. Then adapter signatures, Adam Gibson, probably very interesting crypto stuff. Well, that's it. There's an OpTech recap podcast now.
Yes, it's very good.
Yes.
Schmitty is organizing that, right?
Yes. It's a little bit of a delay from the Twitter Spaces, but the advantage is you don't have to be on a Twitter Spaces, which for me always just turns my phone into a space heater.
Well, I mean, if it's winter, it's probably cheaper than power these days.
No, it's power. No, it's actually more inefficient, right? Because
I'm joking.
Through an adapter and stuff. Yeah.
All right, so the boosts. Eric99, Stay Humble, Stack Sats, Scarcity, When Flipper Zero Discussion, Ape Myth Rendier, as usual, I can never say your name, sir, but thanks for all the support. Value for Value, at the upper edge of technical understanding, but quite enjoyable nonetheless. Nostr sounds interesting. Vake, thanks for the sats. JC Denton, fantastic panel, thanks guys. Dash, great signal episode, and Gas, I'm convinced Upvault is critical to scaling Bitcoin.
Yeah, that was a good episode about the Upvault.
Yeah, did you listen to the round 2?
Yeah, I listened to it.
Yeah.
I sometimes wanted them to keep ranting about the technical stuff a little bit longer before you interrupted them.
I know, but but see, it's a hard balance, right? Like, because I want to also hear them ranting like more about the technical stuff, but then I'm really sort of like trying not to lose the audience who may not be as technical. So like it's a hard balance.
I don't think you'll lose them that quickly. I mean, if people are willing to listen to a 2-hour show, I think they'll find listening to a 2-hour, 15-minute show.
Did you listen to the one with Adam Gibson and Polstra?
Yeah, you were talking about Segment, right?
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And that raised a few interesting questions for me too, like what exactly was the calculation behind it?
It was not answered.
No, exactly, because they didn't know exactly what the answer was. So it's
that's right.
Maybe list. I mean, it roughly makes sense, the arguments that were presented.
Yes. It was one of my favorite episodes.
Big enough to incentivize destroying UTXOs rather than creating more of them, but not so big that the blocks become 15 terabyte.
Yeah. Daniel, I don't want to put on the spot, but do you listen to the pod?
I had no idea you had a podcast until Johnny.
Perfect.
I'm fucking with you.
No,
yes,
perfect.
I've listened to some. It's great to see more podcasts coming out. There's
Bitcoin doesn't have enough pods.
Not enough. Not nearly enough. And I do mean that sincerely because so many people come into Bitcoin from so many different avenues.
That's
so if
right.
somebody just brings a slightly different angle to it, and I know Johnny, who helps you on this, he has his kind of freedom-focused podcast, and his audience is going to get orange-pilled slowly but surely. I've been on his show talking about Bitcoin and how it's changed our lives. So we need more. Yeah, we do, for sure. But I have listened, mate. Yeah, it's enjoyable. And thank you for doing it. Thank you for stepping up. We need more.
Oh, dude, this all started because one, you hear the shitcoin trolls saying that there is not enough stuff happening in Bitcoin, and I'm like, I can barely keep track of it. And then I wanted a way to keep track of it, so we started the list. It's just a list,
right.
And also Marty and Odell sort of like slacking on their list. So.
Well, Odell's too busy on the Citadel dispatch. He's an absolute beast.
So I it was funny because I did bring Odell to start on the pod too to help me read the list in full for 2 hours, and then we started doing this panels as another sort of like in between the lists as a way to like, get the people who actually build the stuff to come talk about it like technically instead of just sort of like having like an interview per se. I felt like it was not like it didn't have like something like that yet.
Well, can I just throw a question at you guys? So like for anybody listening that's scratching their head like me about this, I mean, right now, if you look at the mempool, we're up to 150 sats per byte, 126, 143, 145, just looking at the last blocks. Yeah, we got 218,000 transactions pending. So what's going on? Like,
it's the BRC-20 people. Essentially, like there were about 2 million inscriptions up until like a few weeks ago. And then I think in just 2 weeks, because of this BRC-20 shit, they added another 1 million inscriptions. And this is like, I truly believe that Bitcoin number go up fixes the inscription problem because it's just going to price them out. But what's interesting is that it's giving us a preview so that we don't get lazy and start sort of like creating the scaling solutions that don't need base layer for everything. Because like realistically speaking, base layer is not for the poor, right? Like you can never do base layer for coffee. Even if we did it like 30 megabytes blocks or 100 megabytes blocks, still not enough.
There was a time when I was occasionally doing Lightning transactions and I looked at the fees and I noticed like, hey, I paid more for this Lightning transaction than I would have paid on chain. And that's definitely not the case now. So now you really need to think about, okay, do I, should I have some Lightning channels? The answer is yes.
So BRC, Bitcoin request for comment, which did this. I've paid no attention to these inscriptions, ordinals, or, for anybody listening, I know you probably have a more technical audience, but for those that aren't, I'm completely oblivious to it. It seems like a hell of a lot of noise that's going to disappear in 3 weeks, and I don't want to put any energy into, wasting my time learning about it if it's just going to disappear.
We did an episode about ordinals with Casey and Rindell and I can't remember who else was on it.
I listened to that one. That's the one I listened to.
Yeah, so like, but that's pre-BRC-20. I honestly, I have not looked into it.
I also did a podcast on ordinals, well, especially inscriptions on the shameless plug, the Bitcoin Explained podcast.
No, please shill it. It's a great pod. And it became a book.
It became a book, which is also very famous. But the thing is, if I Google BRC-20, and even followed by the word spec, I get nothing. That's quite bad, because that means that something is so popular that nobody, like, that all the nonsense overshadows even the technical specs.
But remember the Bored Apes. I mean, like, with all the Ethereum shit with NFTs, like, most people don't even know that they are just buying a link to a JPEG that's in a server on Amazon.
Yeah, but usually it is knowable. Like, as an expert, or expert in scare quotes, I think I should be able to Google what is this standard and find a nice summary that explains what the hell it is at a technical level. And I have
so you just have high expectations.
I'm surprised that we've reached this point, because with ordinals at least, there were specs, reasonable specs. You'd still have to sort of look in the code to see what it's actually doing. But here, so far, there's nothing. Like, I have no idea what this is. It's just something that's creating a lot of fees.
Yeah, I mean, I think Bitcoiners greatly miss that there is a lot of market demand for all this crap. Just look at Magic the Gathering and Pogos and all that shit. People love this crap and it's not going away. Like, these people are going to be on this for a long time.
So these BRC things are just opportune messages now, but other than that, they're just moving coins from one person to another, I guess, which is what Bitcoin transactions do. So whatever.
So this is not related to stamps or nothing. Or was that something else?
Stamps was worse. So Stamps was using Counterparty, and then they were using Counterparty in the worst possible way. So Counterparty has different modes, you could say. If you want to use if you want to send short messages in the Counterparty protocol that are less than 80 bytes, it uses opportune, and opportune is relatively harmless. Like, anything that has an opportune output just gets pruned. But if the message is bigger than 80 bytes, Counterparty falls back to bare multisig. And bare multisig is you're creating a fake multi-signature address, and you're pretending that your data is a bunch of public keys. So as far as Bitcoin software is concerned, those are spendable addresses. So you have to kind of keep them in mind. Maybe not in RAM, but it's kind of bad. They also use something called SIGOPS, which is a limit on how many signature operations you can do in a Bitcoin block. And they use it fast. So the original, basically Satoshi at some point realized, hey, this multisig stuff is very inefficient and could be used to blow up any node. By blow up, I just mean making it take more than 10 minutes to validate a block, which means you can never catch up. And so he very quickly put some limits in place. And one of them was saying, okay, this is going to be 20 points. Like it's 1 point for a normal signature. It's 20 points for a multisig. Even if it's a one of two multisig, it's 20 points. And that limit is kind of became irrelevant because people started using SegWit at some point. However, because these stamps came back, people started pushing that limit again. And this led to 2 invalid blocks because it turned out that I think it was F2 pool. They miscounted the number of SIGOPS in the block. And specifically, they miscounted the number in the Coinbase. So generally, what they have probably one process that constructs a block that tries to fit as much as possible into the block without violating limits. So not being more than 4 megabit or 4 megabyte, not being, And the SIGOPS limit, they were very careful about it. They filled it up to the max, and they left 1 basically for the Coinbase. The idea is, and that was correct before SegWit. So you have to leave 1 point for the Coinbase because the Coinbase is typically paying the public key hash or something, which is 1 SIGOP. However, with SegWit, everything was multiplied by 4. So now the Coinbase is 4 points, 4 SIGOPs basically, and they forgot to adjust that. So they were off by 3, which is a very, very expensive off by 3 mistake. So anyway, there were 2 invalid blocks, about I guess $175,000 each, just gone.
Well, play stupid games, win stupid prizes.
Yeah, but so this new thing, this BRC stuff, I don't know how it works, but I don't think it's using those SIGOPs. For one thing, because I think if you want to include something with like that, you have to pay about 4x the prevailing fee rate to get in. Because there's not enough space. If you're using bare multisig, you can only have, I think, 1,000 of them in a block. And so if you're trying to assemble a block, as a miner, as an economic miner, you have to see, okay, how many of these things am I going to put in there? Because for every bare multisig transaction that I put in my block, I cannot put 3 normal transactions in my block per byte. So I think Bitcoin Core internally has a way to produce blocks, and it discounts them by a factor 4. I think it just pretends that these blocks are paying 4 times lower fee rates. That these transactions are paying a 4x lower fee rate, and then creates a block according to that logic. Which I don't know if it's actually the most economically maximizing way to do it, but the idea was like nobody uses this because it's stupid, so it doesn't have to be efficient. But that was a mistake, I guess. Well, the Bitcoin Core didn't make this mistake, to be clear. It was the miners that implemented something themselves.
But, what's interesting about all this, I don't know, I feel like all this degen shit is like stress testing Bitcoin in many different ways before we have the banks truly collapsing and everybody coming to Bitcoin. It's kind of nice to find out all these things now while, there is room and time to fix things or strengthen things. It's like any software, right? I mean, you just don't know how it's going to be used.
I hope long term it brings more creativity, because for years it was seen as like, if you were coding on Bitcoin, not being a Bitcoin developer, building like layer 2, you were treated like an old COBOL developer of 20 years ago. And, I think...
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. Do you know how much those guys make per hour?
Yeah, but we're not
seriously,
we're not going to get
$multi-thousand per hour.
But yeah, I hope it brings creativity. Maybe these things are a bit funny, embarrassing maybe, but hopefully something good comes on top.
It might also increase the excitement for reviewing newer proposals that help with some of the problems, right? So basically maybe L2 or LN symmetry, I think is it's called now. And also there's V3 transaction relay. There's a couple of proposals out there that will make dealing with these high fee environments a bit safer and easier. And those, there's always theoretical problems. Oh, my channel could get pinned, whatever, but the mempool never got full, so it never really happens. And now the mempool is full, and so maybe you'll see more nasty attacks on Lightning channels, people losing more money, and that increases their motivation to then work on proposals to make it better. It's usually when there's no urgency, the bigger improvements just don't get reviewed.
Yep.
So it's the same with this. SegWit basically fixed the block size problem for a while, but by the time people were actually deploying it at any serious scale, fees had already gone down.
I think another cool thing here is that like nobody was going to really spend time optimizing the Lightning channels because the fees were so low. And now they don't really have a choice,
I must say I still don't pay any attention to the node. So whenever I need to make a payment, if it fails, I open another channel. Otherwise, I'm happy. I also don't rebalance them. I have way more inbound capacity than outbound capacity because I guess people don't close them. Right. So maybe with splicing, that'll change.
I'm just looking at the metrics here. Average block time at the moment is 4 minutes and 8 seconds. Jesus. And we're hash rate is at 366 exahash per second. The estimated difficulty change is up 142%.
Interesting. I'm seeing on mempool.space, I'm seeing average block time 12 minutes.
I'm on Bitbo. I'm getting that. Maybe it's...
That sounded a little too aggressive there.
Let's look at Clark Moody. He'll have it up there as well, won't he?
Yes.
I mean, the average block time in the last 2 blocks might be 6 minutes, but the last...
Yeah, that could be.
The average would be a lot lower than that.
Let's see what Clark is seeing here.
All right. So while you look at that, I'm going to, there's a few news items here maybe we can touch. Coinbase gets Bermuda license. Fuck Coinbase. Bitcoin is now available on Telegram in @wallet web interface. Do you guys know anything about this Telegram wallet interface thing?
Bitcoin is now available on Telegram? I mean, you can always do things with Bitcoin and Telegram.
No, but it seems like there is a wallet bot or something. Oh, it's I see. So it's not official. It's like somebody's running. I don't know. I don't know who made this. Probably a friendly person, but it feels like it could be rugged.
I think Gleb Nomenko went on a podcast a year or so ago explaining sort of the peer-to-peer trading in Ukraine. It was all Telegram based. Basically, all the buyers and sellers.
Yeah. There was also the Trust Wallet Pound by Ledger that made it so that the browser extension could have been stolen without any user interaction. Great.
To be clear, the Trust Wallet is not by Ledger, right? Ledger found
No. They're the ones who found it.
Anything that's called Trust,
don't use it. Don't use it. Apple removes the original Bitcoin white paper. That was unfortunate. I'll write a little script for people to just type on the terminal that just adds it again.
But is that the emergency fix they rolled out recently?
No, I don't think so. But it would be pretty funny if it was. But they added a bunch of blobs for to be big, but it didn't really do anything.
They have become a bank recently, though, haven't they? Apple, more or less. Significant savings of stuff.
In general, but that was mostly working with Goldman Sachs. Just a little layer on top of it.
But they recently started offering savings accounts, didn't they? Apple.
That's possible. I would not want to have that much exposure to Apple. I already have Apple equipment.
Okay, Venmo rolling out Bitcoin and crypto withdrawals. This is really interesting, right? Because Venmo is ginormous. And I think they're seeing the pressure, right? Now, the people who are doing this there now want to take their Bitcoin out. So, like it or not, when you have things like Venmo doing Bitcoin properly, that's some serious fucking volume.
Are they still publishing the names and details of every transaction in a public API, or have they stopped doing that?
Sorry, say that again?
I think a couple of years back, there was a scandal where somebody was able to download the entire Venmo database.
I'd
believe it. Sending drugs from A to B with phone numbers in it and all that stuff.
That's hilarious.
And I think they even may have been a competitor of Venmo, so I don't want to say anything bad, but something like that. And I think they even considered it a feature initially, saying, "Oh, it's good and transparent." It's no, it's payment information. Don't do that.
I think I figured out what's going on here because blocks to retarget 2015. So we just literally did the last difficulty adjustment down 1.5%, 1.5%. So yeah, it's just happened. That's why it's so aggressively.
Okay, all right. Balaji lost his bat. Came up with a great story to make him look good. that he lost a meal to make a point.
Was that 90 days up already? Or did he just concede this? It was.
I think he conceded.
Because that's good.
Oh.
That's gone by so quick if it was 90 days. Wasn't it 90 days, the original bet?
Yeah, I think so. I think he conceded slightly earlier.
Oh, hang on a second, guys. It's going to be cool. Okay. So apparently Gigi's saying I can go. This is going to be really cool. Let me give you guys the link here. Well, okay, so
just breaking news, I guess.
So breaking news. Who would have thought that on Bitcoin Review at an hour and 45 minutes of recording, we would have breaking news? I need one of those soundboards that go woo woo.
According to the renowned website forkmonitor.info, partially built by yours truly, there are now 3 stale blocks, as in 3 independent stale blocks.
Oh no, that's not the breaking news. No, there's more. There's actual breaking news.
Right, but there's one at 788,000, and then there's one at 129, one at 212, and one at 254. So that's within 200 blocks. It's like one of the miners, either it's coincidence or one of the miners is seriously misconfigured, because that's a lot of blocks in a row that are not building on top of the most recent one, but building like basically at the same height.
All right, so I'm gonna interject here because I have this breaking news that needs to be broken. So Jack's Foundation donated $10 million to OpenSats. I joined them too, and we're gonna put $5 million to Bitcoin development for open source, and $5 million to Nostr open source grants. And we're going to be looking for people to submit their applications soon. We're setting up a committee for Nostr, and Fiat Chef is part of the committee as well. So like super, super pumped about this because we want to try to fund long-term Bitcoin and Nostr development, long-term at market competitive rates so that good developers, can come work on this stuff and feed their families. And not feel like they're missing out. And we're also going to do a lot of smaller grants. And for Nostr, at least, I think we're going to also put a lot of bounties out. This is going to be a lot of fun. I'm like super excited. And Gigi joined OpenSats to be the full-time ops person. And he's going to be running it in his green suit.
Love it.
Yeah. And we're going to be, ideally paying everybody in Bitcoin, holding Bitcoin. And so yeah, hopefully by the end of this recording, the blog post will be out.
Cool.
So I'm on opensats.org, right? That's where people can go and learn about it.
That's right. And /apply to apply. We're improving the forms, we're improving a bunch of stuff, but there's a drop down there for Nostr, Bitcoin, Lightning, or other.
Are you thinking about doing bounties as well? Or?
Yes, for Nostr at least. So Nostr and Bitcoin might be running slightly different. We don't know yet how that's going to work, but for Nostr at least, I think we're going to definitely put some bounties out. Small bounties, not like expecting people to do full projects, but because it's such a nascent technology, it's nice to have like some ideas out there for people to try to make them and, feel like they get something if they spend their time on it. I had about 3 or 4 bounties claimed on bouncer.org for Nostr ideas that I wanted to see made. So that was cool. Hopefully we can take this to a whole other level. So yeah,
cool.
Thanks Jack for sending the check.
So is that coming from Btrust?
No, this is completely unrelated. And it's also non-strings. This is full sort of like, okay, here's the money. I believe in you guys. Go do your thing. Don't listen to me, kind of thing. It came from Start Small. He's a philanthropic personal entity.
So it says here, I'm on the About Us page. OpenSats will fund software developers, but also designers, reviewers, researchers, educators, and others who support these free and open source tools. That's cool, man.
Yep. Here is the preview of the blog post coming out probably as soon as. This show takes so long to edit for the next day that it will definitely be out by then.
I mean, what would need editing, man? This has been absolutely spot on, perfect. No edits needed. Ship it.
That's right. I mean, like, Johnny just clips out my snot blowing right now, which I kindly muted myself, Johnny. You'd be pleased to hear that. But anyways, so yeah, guys, this is super, super exciting. Steve Lee now has competition. Spyro is no longer the only game in town. All right. Okay. Lightning in L2 news. I don't know, guys. We're pretty we're running into we're running late here now, I think. Unless and I'm losing my voice. Is there any topics here that you guys think we should mention, or should we wrap?
What do you got? Zeus, we talked about. Sats for files. Decentralized file hosting based on Lightning. Excellent. Strike expands Send globally to Guatemala, bringing lightning fast money transfers from the US to Latin America. Cool. Shiro becomes the first RGB wallet on Umbrel. And then it's all Nostr stuff under there, right?
Yep.
Or have I started reading from a completely different part of the list?
Possibly, yes. The list is so big.
It's so massive.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is pretty much like where we're getting to a point now. Like, even if this is the short Nostr version of it, there's just so much shit going on in Bitcoin that we literally cannot finish a list of topics within 2 hours.
Let's go down to legal and political, because you got Jack here, right? Jack Dorsey's Bitcoin Legal Defense Fund prepares for case that could have wild ramifications for open source developers. What is this? Is backing 13 Bitcoin core developers facing lawsuits by Craig Wright. Okay.
Yeah, so if you listen to the Dr. Bitcoin podcast, like all of it, then you'll know all the shenanigans that Craig Wright is up to. In this case, he's pretending he lost a bunch of Bitcoin that actually belonged to somebody else on the one Feeks address. And he's trying to sue Bitcoin core devs to say, hey, you have a fiduciary duty to me, even though you never met me. And please build a backdoor into Bitcoin core to give me the money.
Was it a joke that he was suing the Epstein Foundation to say that he met Epstein or something? Or was that like a joke or something?
I think it might be unrelated.
All right.
Yeah, that's a new one. And
so, man, first, fuck Craig Wright. The second is fuck Craig Wright. And third is, I don't think he's Satoshi. So, it takes a lot of money to defend yourself, especially in the UK against all this bullshit.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the UK can export its legal bullying to people who don't live in the UK. Otherwise, this wouldn't be
in Europe only, not here.
Well,
Hodlernaut was defending himself, and I don't know where the 47 Bitcoin came from. It was just donated to. I don't know if that came from Jack Dorsey's Bitcoin Legal Defense Fund or from somewhere else. But yeah, you're right. It's a hell of a lot of cash. It's crazy. And who gets rich? The lawyers.
Oh yeah, 100%. But he doesn't care, right? He's just trying. I mean, he feels like he's a front for other people that want to mess with Bitcoin. Do you know what I mean? This whole thing doesn't add up. It really doesn't. It's got a weird. It's got a weird stink to it,
And underneath that, we've got Biden administration proposes a 30% tax on Bitcoin mining.
Well, that's good because there's too many miners in the U.S. So he needs to do something stupid to at least get him a bit. He won't get this through, right? Eventually, they'll be like, oh, it's not constitutional, blah, blah, blah. But it might send a few % of miners to other countries.
Yep.
And then North Carolina County enacts a 1-year ban on commercial Bitcoin mining.
As opposed to non-commercial Bitcoin mining?
I mean, what does commercial mean? Yeah, what's the definition there of commercial Bitcoin mining? Anything over X amount of ASICs or warehouse footage space, does it become commercial? The plebs in their basement, they're all good.
Yeah. Anyways, guys, I think I'm going to start wrapping this up. I'm sorry, this was a little bit of lower energy NVK on this one. This cold is really making me confused and dazed.
I saw one thing on the list that might be interesting for you to do a new show on, not on this show. You should have the block mining ASIC. It'd be nice to have some people on the podcast, not just from their side, but from who know things about ASICs, who can say whether this is dumb or really cool.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, It would be, I imagine it would probably be hard to get guys like that from big entities on a pod to openly talk about things, but even though they are working in the open, but I'll definitely try. I think it would be cool to have like a silicon panel, ASIC silicon panel.
Yeah, there may be some overlap when it comes to silicon, of course, to hardware wallet stuff, but it's a slightly different thing it's trying to optimize for. So
cool. All right, boys. Any final thoughts? Shores?
No, I will again shamelessly plug my podcast, Bitcoin Explained.
It's a great podcast. Everybody should listen to it. Everybody should buy your book. You do a lot of great.
The book is out there. I recently discovered that I accidentally deleted the Amazon link from the book page.
Oh, why? Oh, accidentally. Oh, well.
Yeah, accidentally. And also, turns out I was selling it at multiple places, including the book repository, but that disappeared. So really, Amazon is the only consistent place where you can buy it globally. There's probably in every country there may be another shop that also sells it.
We need that book on Consensus Network. Have you spoken with Nico about getting on there so the plebs can buy it with Bitcoin?
I have not yet.
All right.
Get
on to it.
I was thinking the other day, it would be kind of cool if a lot of Bitcoin writers put all their books, PDFs in an SD card, and maybe we sell from our store with when we ship a code card or something like that. That could be kind of neat.
That'll be fun.
Yeah, you can definitely do that. I mean, it's open source.
Maybe we can get somebody to do like a read-only microSD, like the factory that does microSDs for us. And they pre-burn them with the books. That could be neat.
I would like people to also buy the physical one because I like the idea of having redundant storage in case of a digital book burning. But yeah.
Right. Cool. Yeah. Nick, any final thoughts, sir?
Yeah, we'll shamelessly shill the projects I'm involved with. If Ordinals is too expensive, come to mainstay.xyz. It's a single seal implementation. Can store like probably 1 billion JPEGs for one transaction, maybe 2 billion. I don't know. But yeah, outside of that, Mercury Wallet, we're still shipping, we're still building. And another part-time project I'm involved with, CivKit, working with a guy called Antoine Riard, who's not very well known on Twitter, but very well known in the Lightning space. He's a brilliant mind, and it's been a lot of fun working with him. So, and thanks for having us again.
Hey, listen, thank you for coming on, Daniel.
Yeah, come find me on the Once Bitten podcast. If you like to hear Bitcoiners get grilled by my 12-year-old daughter for the first 10-15 minutes, and then just
Great
go
pod.
through down the journey of I love exploring people's rabbit hole journeys, what they were doing in their fiat life, what led them to Bitcoin, what primed them to understand Bitcoin, why they found it. That's kind of like the essence of the show and what they're building. My book is Choose Life. You can find that on Consensus Network, and that's about escaping the rat race, world schooling your family, unschooling, homeschooling, and traveling long term. And opting out of the system, and that's what Bitcoin is all about. So, yeah, that's me, and I look forward to seeing anybody at any conferences this year. I'll be in Miami, Prague, 2 times, and Biarritz, which Nick is where I met Nick last year in Biarritz. It's a great conference for any of the Euro plebs listening. Get down there. They do have English and French stages going, so it's awesome.
Probably the most beautiful conference I've ever been to. They call it
the best location.
They call it
right on the beach.
What's cooler than that? Surfing Bitcoin. Yeah.
Surfing Bitcoin.
I gotta say, like, I'm pretty jealous of that one. Like the nostr-tx-broadcast conference at the beach was fantastic. I kind of feel like now I want every conference to be at the beach.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the way it should be.
It's awesome, man. You can take the family.
Yeah,
then,
I know.
right? Because they can hang on the beach.
That's right. That's what I did.
Yep.
Listen, guys, thank you so much for coming and surviving 2 hours of this, including with some last-minute breaking news. I hope to have you all again soon. And if you guys think of any panel ideas or other things we should be doing with the show, let us know. And with that, we go. Thanks for listening. For more resources, check the show notes. We put a lot of effort into them. And remember, we don't have a crystal ball, so let us know about your project. Visit bitcoin.review to find out how to get in touch.